Welcome, welcome. This series of community events to benefit the restoration of our historic organ is grounded in the ways we find hope all around us. Hope in the joy we've created as a community in our past, as a church and as a town, and hope found in the work of love, justice, and mercy that is being done by the everyday saints of our present day. This hour, we look away from our news feeds and look to stories of hope that are all around us. After a period of interview and discussion and discernment in early 2012, First Church adopted the following motto at its annual congregational meeting in June 3rd, 2012. We use the statement to help us clarify our sense of purpose in this particular time and place. The motto is growing deeper in faith, looking up in hope, reaching out in love. Today, we enter into a time and place where Louise Dartnell will guide us through stories about people who are growing deeper in their faith by reaching out in love to our community. Perhaps these stories of love will inspire all of us to see where to find hope in these times. And with that, I invite up Sarah Ames and David Allman for a campaign update.
Good afternoon, everyone. So one of the reasons why we're all here today is to benefit our organ restoration campaign. We are trying to raise $25,000 for a much needed repair and restoration of this beloved organ. I wanted to give you an update as to where we're at as of today. We are at $6,445.78. That is 25.8% of what we are wanting to raise. And we're a quarter of the way through this campaign and a quarter of the way raising the funds. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for your support. One little update, I've gotten this question a few times. Yes, you can donate in memory of or in honor of, just make that note, and we are keeping track of those who donate and those that make that designation. So thank you. Just going to hand it over to our organist, David Allman, just to remind us what the organ sounds like and what are some things that need to be fixed.
It's dangerous up here. The organ was tuned this past week, and we got some things in order that weren't in order before. However, there are things that go out of order almost immediately after the organ's tuned. And that's one of the things we want to rectify when the restoration comes around. The other thing is, and that's a kind of hidden thing, and that's the ability or the ability required to play the instrument. There are certain notes that are slow, and there are certain notes that don't play all the time. And you have to be aware of that as the player. And some people have been saying, you know what, you play it too well, because people can't tell there's anything wrong. So there are occasions where I'm going to find myself in a position where I may well give you an idea of what it shouldn't sound like. On the organ, there are actually three basic types of stop. You have your principal stop. This is what's called often a diapason also. Very clear sound. It's a tubular metal pipe. There are flute stops like this, which are more gentle, but again, a tubular pipe. And we have reeds on the organ, and there are two reeds, one on the lower manual and one on the upper manual. Here's what's called an hautbois or an oboe. very distinctive sound. I don't often use it as a melody stop, but I often combine it with other stops, like the principal stop. There's a whole bunch of principal stops. If I add that oboe, kind of more incisive tone. There's a manual or a trumpet on the upper manual. Very robust sound. That I will use. In fact, I did use it this morning for the melody of one of the hymns. In fact, I may even use it again when we sing the hymn is coming. So those are the three basic types. I would say that there is a stop that already went out of tune after the tuning at the beginning of the week, and that's his trumpet. Hear that? Already it's out. And that happens so frequently, and I know they're all my friends. I shake hands with them, but I don't show them in public. So anyway, that's what I have to say. I think I'm limited to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe I've gone over. All right.
Thank you, David. We sang this in church this morning, and we're going to sing it again as a framing for our time together today. Please join in our opening song of I Sing a Song of the Saints of God. It's number 481 in your red hymnals.
It was wonderful sitting up here not singing because I could listen to all of you and it was lovely. Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Louise Dartnell and I've been a member of First Church since my husband and I moved from New Jersey in 1965 to the second floor of the parish house across the parking lot. In those 60 years, there have been so many changes some good and some not so good here at First Church. One of the not so good has been the deterioration of the organ. That is why we're gathered here today to address this. The good experience in this place has to do with the growth over the years of relationships with the community and the church. Members here don't just show up on Sunday mornings for an hour. They come every day of the week in some capacity or another. Some of these folks are examples of the connections outside these four walls with the town and beyond. Let them tell you about their stories. And everyone knows Steve Thomas, I hope. Yes.
Do you really?
Yes.
There's a hymn that I think is particularly appropriate for right now. We don't have it in the hymnal, but it is in the Episcopal hymnal, the English hymnal, the hymnal of the Church of England, and so forth. Let me read you the words of the first verse. Let saints on earth in concert sing with those whose work is done. For all the servants of our King in heaven and earth are one. Now, I'm not sure that I agree. This is a hymn written by Charles Wesley. I'm not sure that when those saints have ascended, their work is done. But I won't go into that right now. To give you an idea of what this hymn is like, David has agreed to, one, play just the soprano line, and then he will play all four parts. David. Thank you, David. Sounds wonderful on that old organ. So I have been asked to speak of a couple people who I would consider saints when they were alive here, and saints certainly as they are now. And I have over-prepared. I'm sorry to say I have way too much to say and to fit into 5 minutes, but I'll do my best. I'm not going to talk too fast. The first person that I have in mind is Priscilla Thankful Pleadwell, who married Ivan Bohannon in 1938 and came here from Massachusetts to be a farm wife. She joined this church in 1952 and for more than 50 years served in so many capacities: the Ladies' Aid Society, a treasurer for the Ladies' Aid. She served as a deaconess. She served on the campaign to raise funds for the extraordinary restoration of the interior of this building, 1961-63. She served as church historian in the 50s and through 1970. She published a short history of First Church for the 200 anniversary in 1957, she served on the Flower Committee. She served on a pastoral search committee. She was always very busy with church matters. But she was also a gardener, big vegetable garden, a flower garden, and people could rarely leave her house without something from one of the gardens. She was indeed a sweetheart. Of the remembrances of Priscilla after her death, there came such as these. She lived a long and active life. She was 97 years old when she died. She was a lovely, kind, compassionate woman. Heaven must have been waiting for her. She was a superb human being, one of the finest women I have ever met, and there remains no doubt in my mind that she is already in heaven. This was at the funeral, making certain all runs smoothly. Bless her heart. The second person I have in mind is Harry Valentine Meinzer Jr., born in 1932 in Rahway, New Jersey. He served with the United States Army during 1954 to 56 during the occupation of Berlin in the post-war years. For 32 years, he was a teacher and coordinator of the art department at Hanover Park High School in East Hanover, New Jersey. He received many awards for teaching and for his service on bureaus and government groups in New Jersey.
You're doing fine there, Susan.
He became a member of, he retired from teaching in 1990 and moved to New Hampshire to be near his godson, Alan Hall, who at the time lived here in Hopkinton, just across Briar Hill Road from the church. Here he was a tenor with the chancel choir, a duettist with Merle Dustin, singing some Sundays during the summer, and kiddingly billing themselves as Nelson Eddy and Jeanette McDonald. He was a member and chair of the Music and Arts Board. He hosted many an end-of-the-year choir party in December at his house. He's known for baking his wonderful blueberry muffins for those on the sick list. I know, I was one of the recipients. He painted and lettered signs for the church. He helped create a massive timeline covering 250 years of First Church with the bicentennial celebration in 2007. With his artist's eye, for many years, he arranged the Easter lilies and the poinsettias during the Christmas season on the altar and hung the green roping across the front of the balcony with absolute, total perfection. Outside of church, he served on the board of directors of Dial-A-Ride, hung lights on the town Christmas tree, was a member and president of the local Rotary Club, and helped to serve meals at the Friendly Kitchen in Concord, to name just a few of the things he did as part of this church. And I always think of his great smile and his engaging laugh. In lieu of flowers, in his obituary, he requested memorial donations may be made in his honor to the First Congregational Church of Hopkinton Endowment Fund or Organ Enhancement Fund. Is that not perfect? That's it.
Thank you, Steve. Oh, nice story. Yeah. Well, that is from the historian's point of view, so that we got the good one. Now we have Sue Mitchell and Paula Demers to talk to us. Thank you, musicians. Sue, reflect on the love thy neighbor as you tell us your story. You've been involved in this church for many years. Actually, your dad began a program in Kentucky, which you carried on and which became an important part of the life of this church and its involvement in the community. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I've been a member since 1959. Is that going to? And my dad directed PTO, that's the Parent Teachers Organization for Hopkinton, variety shows. And they started at the Columbia Hall, which is now Everyday Cafe. Yeah, where it is, in the community center. And so he, in his shows, he had a lot of the church members, and some of you will remember them. Eddie Ledbeater, Ted Ellsworth, Coralie Sanderson, my mom Polly, Mimi Murphy, and they started around the 50s and early 60s at the high school. So that was, correct me, yeah. Senator, okay. And then, okay. I'll pick it up. Okay. So so they thought it was in the genes, I guess. I didn't have any talent. I just told people what to do, and I'm good at that.
And don't forget the sticky notes, too.
Yes. I had many sticky notes.
Yeah.
And I'd stick them on and say, you're going to sing this and this. So what we decided, we had a potluck supper over at the parish house, and afterwards we all marched over to the town hall, and upstairs there was a stage, whether it's still there or not, I'm not sure. And so Dan and Missy were in the orchestra, in the band or orchestra, and we had many church people from our church. And have you gone up to me? No. Right. And it was crazy. We had a lady with a live chicken who didn't lay an egg, but and we had the guys singing YMCA, Eddie Ledbeater, some of those. And our minister at the time was Bob Daggett, and he was telling a story about down Maine, you know. So we had so much fun. And so when it was over, we got talking. We said, that was fun. Why don't we do it as a church thing another time? So that's the start, and that's what happened. And we also had people from the Methodist Church and St. Andrews in those shows. And the money we raised from those shows, we used to put towards the next show, and we donated to local community activities.
Paula, you've carried on that family tradition. You've given yourself to reach out in love and involvement in other aspects with the committee work that you've done. Can you tell us more about your family story?
Sure thing, Louise.
Yeah, so obviously being brought up, watching all of that happen, it was kind of destiny, I guess. So I was raised in this church. I was baptized here and whatnot, and they can't get rid of me. So I've been on many committees, and I
have sung in the choir since high school with Jen Thomas Ellsworth. And I guess, yes, just kind of in my blood. But what happened with the variety shows was that it created a wonderful intergenerational connection for those in the church and for the community, because the shows got bigger and bigger and bigger as the years went on, and therefore we were performing at the high school, and community members were coming and buying tickets a year in advance because they knew we would be doing, we did the biannual show. So it became very, very popular in town. And what was wonderful was to see the relationships that developed here within the church as well. Not only with the community, people would come up to you in the community and say, oh, I saw you in that variety show, but also here in church, it kind of really helped with attendance, because people would come to church on Sunday mornings because they wanted to see their friends that they had been rehearsing with in the variety show. And you got to meet people that you perhaps wouldn't normally meet because you're all sitting in your pews, and this is an opportunity to get to know the person that sits on the other side of the church and that sort of thing.
We had young children in the shows at that time, and there were older people, and they were like grandparents and they had that relationship. We even had people expecting to have children that were in the show. And
we won't get into that. Anyway, so it was very intergenerational, as my mother was explaining. But it also helped people get through things that were going on in their lives. So, I mean, to be honest, every year it'd be like, okay, I think I'm done. I'm tired. But then someone would come up to me and say, Paula, that show got me through my divorce. And if it wasn't for that and the support of this church and the community, I don't know what I would have done. How can I not do another show? So we did them through 2019 was our last show. So 1980 to 2019, every other year. And it was honestly just a wonderful, huge chunk of, my life, and I think many people here and many saints were involved in that, because there were people doing things behind the scenes, people performing, people creating props. It just was a wonderful thing. And to spread our love and joy, because all the shows were upbeat and happy, and that was the message that we were putting out there. And I guess, yeah.
That's right.
Yes, I'm looking at them like, half the variety shows sitting here, so, yeah, anyway.
I hope you all go over to the parish house after this program, because there is a display which goes down memory lane, and there will be a show tape being shown, so you can see the actual what it's all about. So I do hope you are able to join us over there. Thank you, ladies. It's always a pleasure to hear you talk about the good old days. Thank you. Bring back memories, Paula. Yep. Oh. Well, now we get a little bit more serious. We have two ladies here who want to speak to you about how this church reaches out beyond the four walls in a very important way. First of all, Maxine Petroselli. She's involved with what's called the Friendly Kitchen, which is usually in Concord, but she will let you know a little bit more about that.
As I look out, I see many people who have volunteered with me in the pews. My first day of worship here at First Church in 1918. Oh boy, that's telling. 2018. Nancy Emery said to me, "You will like it here. It's a good place." And I've certainly found this to be true. It is a blessing to be surrounded by people who have shared the values of service and a boots on the ground philosophy. It's the boots on the ground philosophy that I really love about Friendly Kitchen. We have over 40 devoted volunteers who plan, cook, and serve throughout the year. And I have to tell you, I think not only do we provide a wonderful meal, but I think everybody has a wonderful time just being there and being part of this mission. Our friends in the Rotary Club have helped us out by continuing the mission throughout the summer, and that is a true blessing. It's heartening to be part of a committed community who consider it a privilege to provide a healthy and hearty meal to those who need it. It's hard to fathom in a country this wealthy that we have 1 in 4 children suffering from food insecurity. And this is one thing that truly troubles me, but Friendly Kitchen has started a new program called Family Friendly Meals. And it's truly lovely because they make pre-cooked meals and send them out into the greater Concord community. And it is really wonderful. I've spoken to people at Friends of Forgotten Children, and they've said that it's truly made a difference. The saying, which has been attributed to many, goes, "The success of a society is measured by how they care for the most vulnerable among them." When I serve at Friendly Kitchen, I'm reminded of this. Every one of our guests has a story. What you might not know is that my younger sister was homeless from early 2017 until mid-2020. And that was truly heartbreaking. I'm the older sister, and I've always felt that I should take care of my brothers and sisters. But Nancy had a severe addiction problem. She was brilliant, she was kind, she was generous, she was very compassionate. She was Muriel Grosfeld, the coach of the U.S. gymnastics team, actually asked her to join the team. She was asked to be in several Broadway shows, but the cost of it weighed on her. It was a lot of responsibility. And so, being homeless, it's hard on the families too. And it's serving at Friendly Kitchen at least made me feel as if I was helping someone else. Serving a good meal and having the whole community. One thing I love about Friendly Kitchen is there are so many different groups in our area who contribute to Friendly Kitchen. And I think that's really powerful. We can't solve every problem, but we can all do our share. And I think that's really critical. I give thanks to everybody who supports Friendly Kitchen through their donations, planning, cooking, and serving. And Nancy Emery is right. This is a very good place to be.
Thank you, Maxine. That was very heartfelt. And Dawn, for a long time, you have reached out to those in need with the Family Promise Program. Please tell us about that.
So let me start with my involvement. It's on? Okay. It was red, so I was afraid it wasn't on. When I retired, I had figured that, and I'm not a math whiz, but after 39 years of ordained ministry, I had probably preached over 1,500 sermons. I was ready to do what St. Francis of Assisi said, preach the gospel at all times, and if necessary, use words. I was ready for fewer words. I wanted to live the gospel in a way that was meaningful and vital to the community that I was part of. So serving with Nancy Emery, who really spearheaded and brought Family Promise to this church, has been a meaningful way for me to live the gospel without words and do what I can in reaching out in love. Family provides some respite for families needing to sort out their finances, their family structure, and the basic need for temporary shelter where their children will be fed, warm, and safe. Family Promise has also brought me into relationship with some incredibly generous and compassionate church members. You see, it takes a community to provide for the 50-plus volunteer slot each week that we host Family Promise. It takes people also willing to live out their faith by reaching out in love in meaningful ways. When you're in the company of such people, how can you not find hope and joy? I don't know that I look up in hope, so I trust and hope in God. But I am surprised by the hope and joy I feel as I watch some of the interactions of church members with the children as they play and read with them, and in the conversations that they engage in with mothers and fathers, or the delicious meals that they prepare and bring. I see respect for the dignity of another human being, not condensation. I see how they express genuine concern without prying. And I see acts of kindness, not judgment. All this gives me such tremendous hope in a world where too often we tear each other down rather than lift each other up. I see hope when families get their keys, or a mom or dad find work that will move them on the road to being finally in their own home. And I remember, Nancy remembers, one little girl running into the great hall as I was preparing supper, yelling out, "I'm home!" Here, in this church, she felt welcome, safe, and valued. She was glad to come home. Not all families are easy to deal with. I will be honest about that. But we don't do it because it's easy. We do it because our faith compels us to reach out in love. And in doing it, we experience such joy and hope. So thank you all who participate in Family Promise. One of them, Nancy.
Thank you ever so much. That was a beautiful. Very nice. So thank you, ladies. Oh, traveling music. No story time could be complete without hearing from Dan, Dustin, and from Misty. So, Dan, I'm going to start with you first. Could you tell us how you are involved in the community? Oh, sorry. And
suppose
Yeah.
most of the Dustin family moved back to the farm. It was such a happy place for 200 years, and a mistake was made when my father, the oldest son of the oldest son of the oldest son, went to college and came back liberalized. But when everybody retired, we all came back to Kentucky. Listening to Steve talk, I was reminded of a very early experience in my life which I had forgotten. Sitting in Priscilla Bohannon's garden with her son, Craig, eating cucumbers. Her husband, Ivan, was my father's best friend in his childhood. And Priscilla and Ivan came to my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. And there I sat beside Ivan in a chair, a bit uncomfortable, which is standard for people like us. Ivan turned to me and he said, Dan, he said, what did the farmer say when he lost his hoe? And I said, I don't know. What did the farmer say when he lost his hoe? And Ivan said, it'll turn up. Oh! I tried to laugh. And then I said to Ivan, Ivan, what did the farmer say when he took the ladder away from his daughter's second-story window? And Ivan said, I don't know. What did the farmer say when he took the ladder away from his daughter's second-story window? And I said, cantaloupe.
Oh. Oh, boy.
Well, things really started to happen for me when Sue Mitchell figured out that Missy could play the piano.
So, Missy, what do you consider your contributions to the life of the church over these many years?
I think I came here for the first time in 1979. My children were young, 4 of them. And when I walked in the door of this church, I felt an enormous sense of peace. I sat in the back row. I didn't know anybody. I didn't say anything to anybody. But I thought, this is a wonderful place. And since then, I've tried in whatever way I could, with whatever talent I had, to give back to this church. And I've joined the choir, and I joined the bell choir. I had for a time, for about 10 years actually, I had a young children's choir, youth choir. Jen, you're shaking your head. And for a while, I directed the senior choir, and I did play in the variety show. And Sue Mitchell even got me to sing on roller skates.
How about a bird in a gilded cage?
Oh, yes. And then, to top that, she hung a swing from the basketball hoop at Hopkinton High School and put bird feet on my feet. And I swung out over the gymnasium singing, I'm only a bird in a gilded cage. It's been wonderful and exciting, and I've been so happy for my contacts here and also in the community, because really we've done ecumenical things with St. Andrews. I had a chance to interact with their organist and with their choir director and with the rector, and it's always been so, it has fed my soul, and I hope it continues to do that.
I don't know whether you realize that they also offer their musical services to the community at the Friendly Kitchen, or, the
Slasso Center. Dan and I play the first Wednesday of every month, and come on down. We play from 11 to 11:30.
But those of us who are retired and don't live in this particular community, they visit my community of Havenwood and Heritage Heights and offer musical afternoons for all our citizens. And this past Thursday, they also did that, which is always appreciated because it lifts everybody's spirits to hear the piano and the flute. And we don't talk about that.
And Louise,
No, we don't talk about that.
Louise actually sang as well. And she did a beautiful job.
Anywho, back to your piano, my dear. Well, folks, this is All Saints Day, and we've heard stories from those who are saints with us also, and also some of the ones who have passed on. These saints in this church have reached out in love to the community and beyond. Thank you so much to them for sharing their stories. And thank you all for coming out this afternoon to be with us.
Thank you, Missy and Dan. At the close of this program, you are invited to the parish house across from our parking lot for refreshments in the Great Hall, where you'll see tapings of variety shows past if you're curious, if you liked what you heard from our saints here, telling us stories of the joy that they brought, as well as you'll be able to participate in a community activity. We invite you to recall a person in your life right now who is acting in a way that brings you hope for our world and is acting in a way that brings love to people's lives. And we invite you to write a card to them and send it in the mail as an act of hope and love this evening. So please go on over for some snacks and refreshments, as well as to look at the display of items from our history. Thank you.